Aloha artists, Miss Maggie here. Today we are going to visit a new habitat. Today we are going to some of Maui's wetlands and we are going to paint a beautiful background, and in front of that background next week we will create a native Hawaiian stilt, an IO. So that will be next week. This week we are going to create our habitat, our landscape, our background. And so here are the supplies that you're going to need for today's project. You are going to need a small watercolor paper. These are one of the papers that are thicker and have that bumpy texture. They're so great for painting on. You will want your pencil and eraser, and we are going to do some oil pastels today, and we are also going to paint. So get your watercolors, paintbrush, water, and your paper towel. So what do we need? Small watercolor paper, pencil, eraser, oil pastels, watercolor paint, paintbrush, water, and your paper towel. Go get those and meet me right back here. Come with me to Kanaha. This wetland is right next to Kahului, and let's look closely at this habitat. What objects do you notice? What are their quantity, size, and color? What do you notice about the plants? What do you notice about the water? Is that water deep or shallow? Is that water really blue, or do you see other colors in it? This wetland habitat is very near where a lot of people are living, isn't it? There's people driving by and shops and all sorts of things. But we also have this natural habitat right there. How do you feel that works? Do you think it's a good thing for having it be so busy next to a wetland? Do you see the IO? Do you see the Hawaiian stilts? Look closely. What do you think they're doing? So, notice details that you think you should include in your wetland artwork. I also have some photos of Kealia Pond. Kealia Pond is over between Ma'alaia and Kihei. Sometimes you see it when you drive to Kihei. What do you notice about this place? What is similar and what is different? What details from these photos do you want to include in your artwork? Take all of your favorite details from those wetlands and keep them in your memory, because you get to put them into your drawing today. So now let's draw that wetland habitat. We are going to use our paper vertical. It's going to be tall. That way we can fit our IO in there and have the IO be larger than if it was the other way. See, he's going right off the top. So it is tall, and this is the watercolor paper. Remember, it's the thick and textured one. And so let's look at these photos here. One thing I notice is that both of them have a line across them, and everything below it is wetland, and everything above it is sky or mountain or clouds. Same thing here, wetland, mountain, sky, and clouds. So let's draw a line that separates those two areas on ours. Now, I want mostly wetland, so I'm going to draw that line up here. I'm going to draw it lightly. It's just a guideline. And actually, after I get that guideline in there, I actually notice that those are trees and bushes. They're far away, so I'm not going to draw every tree and bush. I'm going to just make it a wiggly line that goes along where that guideline was. And if you want your wetland to be near where people live and work, then you could put some buildings over there too. I think I'm going to make mine like Kealia and In Kealea, you can see Maui's power plant. More and more of our energy is coming from wind turbines and solar, but still, the majority, most of our power still comes from those smokestacks that are near Ma'alaya and near Kealea. There, they burn oil to make our electricity. Is that something that you think is good to have near a wetland? What do you think? Let's see, what else do I need? I notice that I have mountains and clouds up above. I'm going to do my West Maui mountain. Now, is that mountain a zigzag like that? Look and see, what shape is it really? I see wiggly diagonals. One goes in one direction, one goes in the other, because they're looking in different directions, different parts of the mountain. I'm going to be inspired by that one and draw a diagonal line going up. You know what's interesting actually is that right over here are the wind turbines. They're hard to see in the photo. I can just barely see it, but I bet it doesn't show up on the camera. So I'm going to put a couple wind turbines there just because. And there are the clouds. I'm going to do the clouds in interesting shape going around the top of the mountain. Clouds, a lot of times they're flatter on the bottom part and poofy up above. There I go. I have my mountain and clouds. Okay, now for the wetland. I've got those trees and bushes in the background. I'm going to draw another wiggly line there. I notice that seems to be a lot of sort of different sections here. And in fact, let's stop and look at these photos. Down all of this, your job is to decide what parts are going to be land and what parts are going to be water. What sort of shapes do you see for the land and what shapes do you see for the water? I see that this one is one big puddle, kind of like a pond, and there's some grass that comes up taller than it. This one has lots of little ponds and parts where the grass is taller and little bits of grass in the middle of the area, and then these other areas, and it's very interesting. So let's draw the interesting shapes. I'm going to imagine my own, but I am being inspired by these. So I'm going to draw a shape kind of like this one first. I'm going to come off from the edge, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to make it go over here, and then I'm going to make it come back. And how am I going to remember what's land and what's water? You know what? I'm going to put some little ripples on the surface of the water. See how those ripples are horizontal? They're flat, like ripples on a pond. Okay. I'm going to make another watery area now. I'm going to make a pond that's an interesting shape right here. It's going to get skinny, and then I'm going to let it get wider again. So there we go. I've got another pond there. Little ripples on the water. I think I need one more over here. Sort of like that one. See how when they're farther away, they're kind of narrow. You can't see a whole lot of them, but you can see some of it there. And that is water, so I'm going to put some of those on there. And I'm going to do one more. I'm actually going to make this whole part here water. Okay, so those parts are water. How about the parts that are plants and land? How about we add some texture to those? So where do you want it to have tall grass? I'm going to put some tall grass right there. Some more tall grass right there. And some right there. Putting some in different spots. What other textures do you see? I see some like that. See some like that. Maybe a little bit of plants going on right in the middle of the pond. So, can you tell on your artwork where it is water and where it is land? Let's play a little game. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to put my finger on my paper anywhere. I'm going to go, is that land or water? Oh, I can tell that that is land because I've got the plants growing. Okay, one more time. Oh, I landed in the water, right next to some plants that are sort of growing on top of the water or rising up from the water, but I'm still in the water. So you can do that to see, are your drawings making sense to your eyeballs? That way you can know, I should change that a little bit so I know it's water or it's land. We want to know which is which so that when we color, you can figure it out. Once you have all of your pencil lines done, then it's time to Sharpie. Ooh, I made a lot of lines on here. You know what? I'm not going to worry about Sharpieing my littlest lines and my texture lines. I'm going to do the main lines because we're still going to do oil pastels and watercolors. So if it's a little texture line, no need Sharpie, just the main lines. And if you're not sure if it's a line you should Sharpie or not, you decide. Remember, go slowly, go carefully right over those lines. Make them interesting. Make them show up nice and bold. See, I'm not doing that little guideline there, but I am doing those bushes and trees in the distance. And then I've got the other line of bushes there. And then I have my first bit of water there. I think I want those little plants to show up a little bit. So it really is your choice what parts to Sharpie and what not. I think I'm going to choose to do those bits there. And I'll do a couple of those. If the tall grass goes in front of my other lines, I kind of like to Sharpie the tall grass, but it's your choice. And then that line there, I didn't do my wind turbines, just figured I'd add them in there. Okay, I think I'm just about there. How about I erase? But I'm not going to erase everything because some of those little light pencil lines are going to be helpful for when I oil pastel. So just do the ones that you think don't need to show up anymore. If you Sharpied it, you can erase it. If you didn't Sharpie it, leave it pencil. Again, you get to decide what looks best to your eyes. Okay, I did my erasing. How's yours? You get rid of all those little bits. And now, oil pastel. We're going to do oil pastel and watercolor. So let's just do a little bit of oil pastel and let's use it to put in some of those textures we were looking for. How about the textures of the plants? I'm going to look, what colors do I see in those plants? I see green, so I'm going to get both my greens. I'm also going to get a yellow. I'm going to get an orangey color because I definitely see some warm colors there too. I'm going to get that other orange and a brown too. I'm going to get all those colors. That looks like fun. And my napkin because some of those colors are a little dirty. So that way I can clean them off. There we go. And so what sort of texture makes sense? I'm doing the big grass. And I see that big grass has a lot of green in it, but not only green. I see a lot of yellow in it too. For having so much water, some of the plants are not very green, are they? I see a lot of brown in some of those tall bushes. And a bit of orange. And other parts are very green and full of wiggly plants and leaves. And so I'm going wiggly, kind of like I did on the coral reef. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Maybe a couple more leaves there. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Ooh, now over here it looks kind of like it's whole bushes. but I'm putting some of that in. Ooh, I'm going to put some of that light green in there. Yeah, a little bit of that dark green back there, just a little bit. And a little bit of that orange there. Now, how about that water? If it's a windy day, there might be actually some lines on top of the water. I could take white and do some little bits like that. Wherever it's water, not in the land, just in the water. Ooh, what else shall I do? A little bit of other colors there. Ooh, I'm going to put some of that white in my clouds too. That way, they'll be white even when I watercolor. Ooh, so my clouds, they're going to be white now. I know you can't tell, but trust me, when we paint, they will be white. Okay, oh, that's where I need a little bit of green too. Those plants that are growing in the water. I think I have some texture on here now. I have texture of the wind on the water. I have texture of my plants, and I'm going to do the rest with watercolor. So I'm going to put away my oil pastels. When you think you have your texture down, those parts that show where are things rough, where are they having lots of little leaves, where are they long and blowy in the wind, when you've got all that done, then let's paint. Let's look again. What colors do we see? I see so many yellows and greens and everything in there. I think I'm going to start with above the horizon again, the mountain and the clouds. I'm going to start with that sky. So I'm going to do it blue, but you know what? I'm going to show you something. Blue doesn't have to be super dark. That blue is actually quite light. So I'm going to do blue plus water. And that blue plus water is a beautiful light blue. And oh, look, it won't stick where my clouds are. Isn't that neat? Blue plus water does a sky blue, and it won't stick where my clouds are. Now, what color is your mountain going to be? What color is that mountain? Or that one? I see orangey peachish browns, and I see purpley grays in there, and that one's like a dark blue gray green. Ooh, those are some neat colors. I don't think I have them on my palette though. I think I'm going to have to mix them. So I am going to mix a blue, green, and purple. Why not? You mix the colors that you see, and I'm putting them over here. Ooh, am I being careful where I use my brush? Am I holding my brush like it's a pencil? Am I watching where that tip goes? If I need to put the paint just in the right spot, I can use just the tip. If I need to fill in more areas, I can use the side of my brush and it fills it in thicker. If I have so much paint in my brush that it's sloppy, it can be hard to paint. So I'm going to take all that sloppy paint now and spread it out. So I'm spreading it out. And I can wash my brush and wipe it again. And I'm spreading those colors where I think they need to go. And I remember over there, I wanted to do a different color, sort of a peachish orangey brown. So I'm going to do some red and some orange and some water. And let's see what that color looks like. Ooh, it needs a little more orange and yellow in there. Ooh, I like that. It needs more water though. That will lighten it and it will connect with that green, and the green will make it kind of brownish. Ooh, I'm going to bring those colors together. And I'm going to color carefully, keeping those colors in the right spots. Oh, like that. And putting some of those textures I saw in the mountain, maybe a little bit of color in the cloud too. Ooh, that looks like a gray. I like that. Okay, I have my mountain done. What do you think? How's your mountain coming along? I think I'm ready to do my plants. Let's see, there's so many different greens in those plants, aren't there? Some parts really look like yellow, some parts are dark greens. I think I have this blue-green here that I want to use for my trees and bushes that are far in the distance. I'm going to use the tip of my brush. See how I'm going so lightly that only the tip is touching? Only the tip is touching. I can get more paint and fill those areas in. Ooh, I love using colors that I've mixed. Now, the next part, I don't want to do the same green. I'm going to mix a light green. I'm going to do yellow plus green. Yeah, like that. Ooh, look at that yellow and green. And look how those oil pastels are showing up right through it. So I'm not painting any of the water right now. I'm painting the plants. Ooh, putting that yellow green in. You know what? I'm going to grab a little bit of the other green and let them flow together. Ooh, fun. I'm putting in all my greens in the plants. Lots of different types of greens. You choose which ones to use, all up to you. And if you see other colors, you could put them in too. Like I saw some pretty wild colors in the mountains, didn't I? Okay, put some strokes there too. Boop, 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 boop. When we're done, every part of our artwork's going to be filled in. Right now, we are filling in everywhere that is land and plants. What are all the colors that you see in the land and plant part of the wetlands? Okay, next, the water. Now, a lot of times when people paint water, they paint it blue. And water looks blue a lot, but it's not just blue. Water is really like a mirror, a big, beautiful, moving mirror. In this picture, the water is reflecting the sky. But in this picture, is it really reflecting the sky? I see a little bit of sky, but I also see some clouds being reflected. And that there looks like the color of the mountain there. And do you see there how it's reflecting the plants? Ooh, so those are lots of colors we can put in. You know what I'm going to do for my water? I'm going to do a watercolor wash. Have you done that with me before? I think you have. How do we do that again? Do you remember? I'm going to put water in where it's water. Just water. Just water. And if it catches some of your color from the other parts and it flows in, that's okay. It'll be a part of the reflection. Isn't that neat? So I've got the water inside the water. Water, water, water. Little bit of colors flowing. That's fine. And I'm going to take some blue, but not too dark. I'm going to add some water to it. And it's going to reflect the sky. Ooh, yeah! But you know what? It's also going to reflect the plants. And the mountain. And so look how I dropped those colors in there, and it looks like that. Now, how about over there? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put some water in there and decide what colors do I drop in. I think I'll put some blue in there. Just a little bit of green. But yeah, and do you see the little ripples from the white that I put in? It's showing up. Do this one too. Water first. Oops, make sure your brush is clean so it really is just water. And like I said, if some of the other colors flow in, oh good, they'll be part of the reflection. Okay. I'm going to have some of the sky reflecting in there. A little bit more. And some yellow green reflecting in there. And a little bit of that orange reflecting in there. Oh, that looks so neat. I think it needs a little bit of purple brown right on the edges. You see how it's darkest right where the water and the plants meet? I'm going to put a little bit of purple brown right on a couple edges, like right there. And it's going to flow into the water a little bit. But it's also going to look really neat. I didn't do just brown, I didn't do just purple. I did the two of them. And ooh, I like that. I'm going to put a little bit more of it over there in those bushes too. Just why not? And a couple in my grass. Ooh, what ideas are you getting while you paint? I bet you're having your own ideas. This looks like such a beautiful day at Kalia. I'm almost there. I can't wait to see yours too. I have one last area to do a watercolor wash. Wash, wash, wash. Remember, I'm using the brush smoothly, filling in the area. I don't want to miss anywhere. I'm going to bring that water all the way to the edges. Oh, paper's moving away on me. And I'm going to drop those colors in. Ooh, look at that beautiful blue in there. I need a little bit more. Ooh, that blue's a little darker. I'm going to add a little bit more water to it. Yeah. And then more of that yellow green. A little bit more of that purple, brown right on the edges. Maybe a little bit just flowing through. And I think a little bit more blue-green. I think I need a little bit more of the blue down there. There we go. There's mine. How's yours coming along? So I can't wait to see your finished wetland background, and your IO is going to be so excited to move into it next week. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. And so here is your reflection question. How did you paint the areas that are plants? And how did you paint the areas that are water differently? And here is your reflection question. What did you do differently when you painted the water parts of your picture than the plant parts of your picture? I bet the things that you did differently in the water versus the plants part made your artwork amazing. I can't wait to see it. Make sure the whole picture is colored and put it somewhere safe, because we will be finishing it next week. Okay, make sure you share this artwork with your families and with your teacher. Make sure you take your paint and make sure it is clean. See this palette? I don't want to leave that mess. I'm going to pick all that color up with my napkin and clean that up. And if some of my colors are dirty, like my yellow, I'm going to take a little clean part of my napkin and go down and up one time, not too much, but that got rid of most of the green. And I'm going to take my brush, clean it off in the water, dry it off, and give it a hug. So all my supplies are all ready to go next time we use them. Okay, I'll see you then. Ahoo-ho!